Hi, I'm Gavin,
And I'm Dave.
and you're on the fringe.
Come along with us for a ride on a podcast where we talk about an area or a thing going on in the world that needs more attention, just like you do. Let's go.
On the fringe. Here we go. Hey, 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 we're here. We're on the fringe, and this week we're talking about a pretty grim thing indeed. What is it, Dave?
So we're going to be talking about the recent earthquake in Myanmar. It was a 7.7 earthquake on the Richter scale. It's killed at least 1,600 people, likely more, according to USGS, potentially up to 10 times more. And it hit just outside of Mandalay, the second largest city. It's located in northern Myanmar. It has about 1.2 million people that live in it, and the city's basically been reduced to a pile of rubble.
Yes. Fortunately and unfortunately, I know someone on the ground there, and roads are out, hospitals are down, buildings are unsafe to inhabit, and it is more or less a disaster zone. Thankfully, he has been unscathed, but the city has not. It's been hit very hard, and it's likely the death toll will mount quite quickly in the coming days. Why are we not hearing a lot about the effects of this earthquake in Mandalay? We're hearing a whole lot about Bangkok.
Yes. So Bangkok was also hit by the earthquake. The earthquake is only about 10 kilometers deep. So those earthquake waves traveled into neighboring Thailand, into China, and into India, and they caused a lot of damage. They killed
Mhm.
people in Thailand, but we're not hearing about it because we're not really reporting about it. So I looked at the news earlier today, and this is basically gone from Fox News. MSNBC had one little blurb about it, about the footage being some of the most watched footage on their website. CNN had a before and after. Yahoo News had something on it. MSNBC had virtually, or MSN had virtually nothing on it. So nobody's really getting information about it. And I think it's primarily because we don't really care as a country. We're going to 100% forget about this earthquake probably by Tuesday because it doesn't really touch America, but it does impact America and it will impact America in the future.
Absolutely, Dave. And what's the main way we're demonstrating our lack of interest?
Well, we don't have a DART team, so a disaster area response team on the ground right now. They're kind of the first responders after a major disaster. We don't have anybody there, from what I know. And I did a little bit of research that might maybe changed in the last couple of hours, but nothing that has been reported. But the Chinese, the Singaporeans, the Thais, the Indians, and the Russians all have people on the ground, and they're all actually helping the Myanmar government. And the Myanmar military junta, the government, is basically inviting anybody that wants to come out and help, according to them. They're looking for, quote, any and all assistance from virtually any actor.
Yeah, and this is very unusual behavior for them. They're basically a nationalist, isolationist regime. They do not ask for assistance. The fact that they're asking for assistance indicates this is very bad. To give you just a brief glimpse into how bad it was, the capital of Myanmar, which was built not that long ago, Naypyidaw, has one airport. The traffic control tower in that airport collapsed, killing everyone on that. So their entire air traffic control staff for the capital city is gone, along with their ability to actually bring in flights. So that's just a small glimpse of how devastating this thing was. That wasn't even in Mandalay. Um, it's very bad. We're not involved. There's no timeline. State Department has come out and said there's no timeline. There's no heading on the location of a dart team. We're not sending anyone. Uh, Dave, why is this bad news? Why should anyone care about this?
Well, basically, the U.S. needs to show up to the party in some
Hmm.
form.
Yep.
And if you look at what's going on in the last 10 to 15 years in Southeast Asia, China has really invested a lot into these countries. And China being more involved in these countries shows these countries that, well, they have choices. They can kind of jump onto the Chinese bandwagon, or they can kind of stick with the US, or they can kind of go with, Russia or India. But if we're not there, we're not serious. We do not want to be seen as a serious partner, and we don't virtually care about these countries, and we don't have the resources to care about these countries if we're not able to send a DART team in. And unfortunately, we've gutted US aid, and we probably still have some of those capabilities, but I would imagine it's not as good as it was a couple of months ago.
I think there's an unfortunate parallel here. There's lack of capability, and I think there's lack of interest, to be frank. I don't think, the U.S. right now is very focused on what's going on up near the Arctic Circle, on the territory of Greenland. And I think our eye is off the ball right at the moment when the Chinese are looking at this and going, okay, well, we've already reoriented most of the infrastructure in the country into China anyways. We're going to finish the job. We're going to come
Hmm.
in. We're going to rebuild Mandalay so it's a proper city where everything works. And we're going to hook it up to that big canal, that big railroad that we've got pointed south. And we're going to get that port. We're going to get that naval port we've been asking for the last 20 years. We're going to get that port on the Bay of Bengal. And then from there, we can resupply our ports in Sri Lanka. We can resupply our ports in Djibouti. We can resupply our ports in Gwadar in Pakistan.
And we save a bunch of time for trade where we do not have to go around the Straits of Malacca.
Exactly.
We basically have direct access to the Indian Ocean. And if the US is serious about a pivot to Asia, I mean, we've talked about it since Obama was president, we would be involved in this because we would be looking at, okay, what happens if the Chinese actually do have access, or they can get unfettered access to the Indian Ocean? In an event like this, a massive earthquake where Myanmar's government virtually collapses, this is going to give whoever comes in there basically first mover rights to where they're going to be able to dictate terms if they're able to spend the money. And we would not be able to match the Chinese dollar for dollar, but we could still be there and have a presence. But having zero presence basically shows Myanmar that we're not interested at all in this part of the world. And basically, China, okay, it's yours for the taking.
We're demonstrating that we're not an option. And whether we're aware of it not or not, we're not just demonstrating that to Myanmar, we're demonstrating it to all of the neighboring countries. One of which, by the way, is India. For India, this Chinese expansion, this is an existential issue. This is something they are very concerned about. And so far, they have a very cordial relationship with the American government because they need us. We're the counterbalance. But when a sort of an act of God happens like this, and you need to rely on people, and yes, Myanmar, we've said this is not an ally. They're not at all aligned with the US. I believe most of the government is under pretty serious sanctions, actually. But
Hmm.
still, this is absolutely a moment where you go, oh, time of need, you don't show up. I think it's as
Yep.
simple as that for a lot of people.
Yep. And it's all about just the simple presence. And I think
Hmm.
if we don't show up here, okay, China's going to take note, India's going to take note, Singapore, Thailand, Russia, Korea, Japan, whatever countries are actually involved in the early stages of recovery are going to take note that the Americans are not present. And if we start using the UN, okay, we're going to use the UN to basically help refinance, or not refinance, to help rebuild Myanmar, then we're not going to be nearly as powerful as we were if we did it directly.
It's all very sad, Dave, I would
Hmm.
say. Anyways, on that note, on a slightly happier note, I want to say thank you for everyone who's liked, commented, or subscribed. Thank you, Yvonne. I now know the difference between a prime minister and a premier, and I will stick to my day job. And please
Me
like,
too.
comment, subscribe. We appreciate all of your input, and thank you so much. We're on the fringe.
Yep. Thank you guys.